Hey there and welcome back to another Miraculous Ladybug video. And today I want to talk about weird crack ships, and more specifically one ship that's particularly caught fire more than ever in the last little while. Lilanette, which is the ship name of Lila, the new main antagonist starting from Season 6, and Marinette, who is of course the main protagonist of the show. Because, I'll be real, no matter how long I've been involved in fandoms, there's just some ships that gain popularity that take me completely by surprise, and I'll admit, this is one of them. Should I be shocked though? Probably not. After all, this is Miraculous 101. Really, it's just Fandom 101 when you think about it. When in doubt, if a fandom's losing steam, the shippers will be the last ones to leave it behind, because more than the story in general, the shippers are there for the characters. That's what they love. I feel like that's something that will always be especially true for Miraculous. After all, it's always been one of the fundamental pillars the story and fandom's been built upon from the very beginning. Right from the get-go, you're slapped in the face by the love square, and that sets the tone for how the fandom's going to behave. From the beginning, this fun little group of differing dynamics from the same pair of characters no less, that function in different ways and give off different energies. There was Adrianette, who for the majority of the early show was just Marinette pining after Adrian, who'd mostly just treat her kindly with a cheeky comment from time to time. There was the mutual blushing mess ship that was Ladrian, where they both clearly had a crush on one another and were mostly unable to function in the other's presence. There was the one-sided pining from flirtatious Cat Noir towards a mostly indifferent Ladybug in the Lady Noir ship, although at times she did flirt back for fun. Then there was the tension-filled Marichat ship, which is probably my favourite to tell you the truth. Regardless, there were tons of memorable moments for all of them, and the writing encouraged you to enjoy a variety of these ships. This ended up continuing for other characters as well. Not only would there be the Canon ships like Alia and Nino, Ivan Milan, Felix Kagami, Kim, Ondine, Mark and Nathaniel, Rose and Julika. Hell, there's even the likes of Master Fu and What's-Her-Face, and Marinette's parents, and Jagged Stone, and Penny. For God's sake, how much of the show's drama comes from the fact that Gabe is utterly unable to let go of his love for Emily, and will do anything or pay any price to bring her back. Then there were significant, if short-term, alternate ships that were simply there to drive up engagement and interest, whilst also continuing to keep the protagonists apart for the time being, to lengthen out the seasons and slow down plot development. We're talking about Luca and Marinette, and Adrian and Kagami. Plus there's a horde of girls that also wanted a piece of Adrian, notably Lila and Chloe. Oh, and 100% Wayne if we're being serious for a minute. Dude is 100% smitten. Plus there was that point in the story where it seemed really obvious that Natalie was in love with Gabe, and that's why she was so intent on helping him out and ensuring that he got the Miraculouses. They kind of soft retcon that along the way to being love for Adrian, who she views as a son, and devotion to the memory of her friend Emily, but rewatch season 2 and 3 and it is 100% in there. Completely romantic. I mean, I kind of think they made the right choice with the pivot because it opened up a whole new host of story ideas and fleshed out dynamics and relationships very well, but it was still there. Then there was the one-time only type ships in the form of unrequited crushes, like with Zoe and Marinette, where Zoe was into Marinette and confessed, whilst Marinette only had eyes for Adrian at that point. There was that one episode when Nathaniel had a crush on Marinette way back in season 1. There was Rose and Prince Ali from Princess Fragrance that was never really touched on again. Hell, there was a hilarious crack ship from the in-universe Miraculous sequel film where Cat Noir and Rena Rose are in love, and then Nino goes absolutely insane that he thinks Ali is cheating on him with Cat Noir. Ah, good times. Oh, and then there was also comic relief crash and burns like Kim and his doomed love for Chloe, where he has the hots for her basically the whole saga, with her easily manipulating him to do her bidding on multiple occasions. Only for her to then turn around and pretty much shatter his heart anytime he tries to get a bit closer to her romantically. The only time he ever had any success at all, I'm pretty sure, was during Despair Bear, and that was only because her butler was trying to get her to be a nicer person, to try to impress Adrian, but I can't quite recall off the top of my head. And that's just what we see within the show itself. That stuff is seen within the episodes and plays a role in the story. From here, there are popular fan-made ships that have no basis in canon whatsoever, and yet get a huge amount of engagement. And this is where things can start to go off the rails somewhat. On the one hand, you have typical rare pairs that you see crop up in any fandom. Adrian and various other characters, male or female. Marinette and various other characters, male or female. You have the wacky crossover pairings that could catch fire out of nowhere, in the vein of Elsa and Jack Frost, for instance. One of note that I've seen from Miraculous Ladybug has been Marinette and Damian Wayne from DC Comics. He's the current incarnation of Robin, in case you don't know, Batman's sidekick. I don't really know how that's so popular, but there you go. It exists and it has a lot of fan works. Not to the level of the main ships or anything like that, but still quite a lot for such a niche thing. And all of these, they work just fine for me, because they don't require you to alter the characters' backstories or personalities to work. But going forward, a lot of these ones do, because then you come to the old enemies to lovers trope. And for some it is pretty stock standard and you can understand most of the time, and some of them even work with minimal tweaking or character assassination. For instance, Chloe. Well, I guess you could make it work in your head if she stuck the landing on her redemption arc during Season 3, instead of willingly joining up with Hawkmoth and Myra for the battle against Ladybug and the other heroes. Because the idea would be that she truly is changing as a person, and thus she gets closer to Marinette, or Adrian, or whoever the hell we're talking about, right? But then there's also some extreme degenerate versions of this dynamic that used to be popular back in the day, i.e. the cursed Gabriel and Marinette ship. Ugh, that was certainly a moment in time, wasn't it? Now, as we've just discussed, there's a new ship that's gaining steam on social media a lot more lately. I'm sure it's always been chugging along in the background for a good long while, like pretty much any ship under the sun, but it's only just in the last couple of months especially that I've noticed it more and more. So either it's growing rather exponentially in popularity, or I am just very out of touch and never noticed that it's something that people are engaging with in any real meaningful way. Hopefully it's the former, although it wouldn't be the first time I've had to confront the fact that I can be slow on the uptake in noticing trends and hot topic issues. I'll be honest with you, I just can't see the appeal with Lilanette in any way at all. What is it that people are drawn to here? And this isn't even really a Lilanette issue. It's pretty much every sort of enemies to lovers type ship under the sun. I can get it if there's a proper redemption arc that you see play out on screen or on page that leads people to shipping and imagining what if. I feel like you could craft a reasonably compelling story around that, and I can see fans being invested in that sort of thing. However, more and more I notice that these sorts of ships are centered around characters that are outright pieces of shit, and I can't help but question why. Why these characters with no redeeming traits? And then paired with this specific protagonist. Characters that are outright evil being paired with those that are outright good. I've been around the block in my years, and in that time I've noticed that these types of stories, artworks, or ships, they don't necessarily come from a place of, it's toxic and it's meant to be toxic. No. Instead, they outright woobify the characters beyond recognition to the point that the characters no longer resemble the original characters or the story at all. To quickly get my point across, let's take a look at one such ship. Tom Harry. Ugh, Tom Riddle, Harry Potter, just so you know. Anyway, it can pretty much be summed up like this. It's okay that you murdered my parents and outright ruined my life in many ways because you were really handsome when you were a 16-year-old boy. And when you think about it, we are pretty much soulmates. You never even had a choice to become what you did. After all, you were a rape baby and raised in an orphanage after your mother gave up on life. How would you not become a sociopath? Dumbledore's just a big old meanie for not trusting you because you totally did something heinous to the other children at the orphanage. And really, what other choice did you have but to start a paramilitary hate group to facilitate your terrible racist views that formed because of your resentment towards your father, who was a rape victim, and upbringing? Splitting your soul via murder to keep yourself alive forever? Completely understandable. All those murder attempts are water under the bridge because I, a teenager, am in love with you, a terrorist in your early 70s. Oh, and everything you've done, despite it going against every aspect of my characterization across all the books? I kind of think that you might have a point, that really Muggleborns do need to know their place, and pure wizarding culture and bloodline should be preserved, yada 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 yada. I mean, I get it, shipping's meant to be fun, but at a certain point, you're no longer shipping the actual characters at all. It's a strange original character with the same name, but with a completely different personality than the classic character that everybody knows. That's very much the vibe that I get for Lilanette as well. I just don't understand where all of this is coming from. Like, don't get me wrong, on a conceptual level, I think I get the draw of two people who hate each other having some sort of attraction. I just don't get this one, because when you really break it down to its base components, it wouldn't be the same character anymore. I mean, let's just go through their shared history for a moment, shall we? Marinette and Lila first meet in the Season 1 finale episode Volpina, and right from the get-go, they hate each other's guts. For Marinette, she's mega salty that Lila's trying to crack onto Adrian, and she doesn't handle that jealousy well at all, which causes her to act out and expose Lila publicly as Ladybug in front of Adrian. Lila ends up getting akumatized, and from that point onwards, she hates Ladybug with a fiery passion. Not in the way of your standard rivalry either, but in the I'll spit on your corpse and piss on your grave sort of hatred. I guess some people find that romantic or hot, but me, not so much. From then on, the two enter a bitter Cold War that erupts into outright shit-slinging every so often, with Lila hating both Ladybug and also Marinette when she's in her civilian persona, because she started to stand up to her. This person outright seeks to ruin her life on multiple occasions, and just seems so wholly evil. It's the same vibe I get from a Voldemort, or a friggin' Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars, who is also somehow shipped with the heroic characters in a romantic way. These are all characters who on the surface of it, from what we actually see, have absolutely no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Thus, you have to try to add your own, and by doing so, you either have to character assassinate the villain or the hero. From a Lila point of view, that's such a shame because I actually like that she's a deranged monster that sucks on every level. At least Gabe had redeeming qualities that you could see play out on screen, where he shows genuine care for his son or for Natalie. It's just that the death of his wife broke him on a fundamental level, to the point that he would forever be obsessed with getting her back, which then snowballed into an obsession with not just getting her back, but also defeating Ladybug and Cat Noir in battle to do so. It shattered his brain to the point that even if he did manage to revive her, he wouldn't be satisfied. He would forever remain the cold, distant, aloof figure that he became after she started to get sick. Lila doesn't have that, and that's a good thing. I like that in contrast throughout her entire run, Lila has seemingly shown no genuine care for anybody except herself, and is willing to do anything to get ahead. Hell, we even see that she's outright juggling having a number of different parents. This is total wackadoo behaviour, and combined with how we see that she openly treats Nuru, which is even worse than Gabe ever did, she's presented as a full-on monster, and I like this. I find it compelling. And so I don't understand why people would ever want to stray away from that vibe at all. I don't get how you start to ship it to begin with. I mean, I guess if you go to that opposite land universe with Shadybug and Claw Noir, you could find a nice Lila and it could make sense to ship that. I just don't see how you arrive at this place otherwise, because the character you're shipping is no longer Lila/Cerise in that context. It's some random woobified character whose villainous edge has been sanded smooth to facilitate the ship, and that's not very compelling. It's either that or you have to character assassinate Marinette, who is a character who's firmly anti-bully, and who has a genuine hatred towards this person for all the lies she's told and the shit she's put her through. I think the only way you could ever make this thing work in general is if you think about it like this, that Marinette never clocks on that Lila is a liar, and thus she gets sucked into the toxic web, so it would have to be some weird, one-sided thing, where Lila's using Marinette for her own ends. And that's it. I find that that's the only way for this ship to actually make sense, and it's not like that's a positive or romantic way of viewing it either. I just find it overall to be a largely strange ship, and I don't get its popularity. You can call me out of touch, and that would be fair, I guess, but in the end, these have all just been my opinions, and I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of the Lilanette ship in general? Are you with me? Bit weird? Bit nonsensical? Or do you have the complete other opinion? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.